In this podcast episode, Pippa Grange explores the widespread struggle with burnout and chronic overperformance in modern life. Drawing on her experience as a psychologist for elite athletes and her new book, Life Reclaimed, she delves into the cultural, psychological, and biological factors that contribute to exhaustion. The conversation touches on how our current way of living clashes with natural human rhythms, the importance of reconnecting with ourselves and our environments, and practical steps to move toward regenerative performance. Throughout, Pippa emphasizes the need for honesty, rest, presence, and a deeper connection to the natural world in order to reclaim energy and well-being. Pippa frames burnout not as an individual failure or isolated issue, but as a collective cultural problem driven by an unsustainable pace of life. She argues that many people are caught in a cycle of constant overperformance, striving to excel in multiple areas simultaneously, which leads to mental and physical strain. Modern life demands too much, too fast, and requires excessive cognitive exertion, leaving little room for rest and recovery. The cultural pressure to always be improving and optimizing creates a mismatch between how humans evolved to operate and the relentless demands we face today. Pippa links this to larger societal strains such as geopolitical conflicts and climate change, which compound personal stress and make current performance methods obsolete. Her book aims to offer strategies to change these methods, helping people find ways to regenerate energy instead of burning out or quitting. Central to the discussion is the concept of being addicted to pace and pressure. Many individuals push themselves into a state of constant urgency and distraction, often disconnecting from their physical and emotional signals to simply get more done. This habitual overperformance is characterized by masking true feelings, saying yes when a no would be better, and struggling to stay fully present. Psychological scrolling or distracted thinking during conversations or tasks is a common symptom. Pippa notes that this relentless drive to perform and optimize every moment is deeply ingrained culturally and personally, feeding a narrative that equates self-worth with achievement and exceptionalism. Despite the modern urban lifestyle, Pippa emphasizes that humans are part of nature's web, not separate from it. She critiques industrial thinking for being compartmentalized and efficiency-driven, losing sight of the ecological principle of wholeness. Drawing parallels between seasonal cycles and human rhythms, she discusses the natural processes of rest and renewal observed in nature, such as winter dormancy and spring rebirth, and how we lack attunement to these cycles. Ignoring this connection causes us to expect uniform productivity year-round, which is unnatural and draining. Pippa encourages cultivating awareness of our internal and external environments, listening to what the body and natural world signal about when to perform and when to rest. Another factor driving overperformance is the erosion of community and tribal living, where individual contributions and value were clear and celebrated regularly. In modern, often individualistic societies, people may feel disconnected and uncertain about their worth, leading them to compensate by seeking validation through relentless achievement, particularly at work. This lack of communal feedback and support exacerbates feelings of loneliness and pressure to prove oneself continuously. Pippa highlights that this phenomenon applies beyond work into relationships and parenting, where overperformance and exhaustion can manifest similarly. Pippa outlines how to recognize chronic overperformance: difficulty acknowledging strain or tiredness, a continual sense of urgency, saying yes when meaning no, and being mentally distracted or disengaged during everyday life. While everyone experiences these patterns at times, the concern arises when such behaviors become chronic, spilling into all areas of life and leading toward burnout. Noticing these signs is crucial because they indicate a foundational energy drain and disconnection from oneself. One of the hardest aspects of shifting away from overperformance is giving oneself permission to pause without immediately trying to solve problems, fix oneself, or jump back into action. Pippa stresses the need to sit with uncertainty and discomfort, acknowledging that sometimes the answers to life's big questions emerge only through silence and presence rather than intellectual solutions. This kind of coming home to oneself involves tuning into bodily sensations, emotions, and intuition with honesty and openness. She cautions against the cultural habit of rushing to fix everything, which can block true insight and regeneration. While midlife is a common time when people confront feelings of burnout or dissatisfaction with accumulated sunk costs and doubts about life choices, Pippa notes that younger people are also deeply affected. From early schooling, youths are conditioned to maximize every moment and constantly excel, fostering immense pressure and isolation. The concept of overperformance and its consequences transcend age, although the particular experiences and obstacles may vary across life stages. Pippa suggests that cultural change begins at home. Parents can help children develop a healthier relationship with performance by broadening their sense of self-worth beyond achievements, modeling presence and genuine engagement during time together, and emphasizing the importance of cycles of intensity followed by rest and renewal. Encouraging play and non-performance-based creativity helps children build resilience and joy, teaching them to succeed without depletion. To break the cycle of overperformance, Pippa recommends small yet intentional acts of self-awareness, such as pressing pause for a moment to check in with bodily sensations and needs. She advises daily nervous system status reports to recognize strain before it becomes overwhelming. Rejecting the mind's habit of overriding bodily signals and honoring authentic need for rest or boundaries are powerful first steps. Even brief moments of renewal, like a laugh, a tune in the car, or a few quiet minutes, can reduce the accumulation of stress and prevent deadwood buildup that fuels burnout. Pippa shares her personal commitment to designing rest as a structured and proactive practice rather than an afterthought. She schedules pause points throughout her day as behavioral fire breaks, similar to elite athletes' reflection periods, which allow her to reconnect to her body and maintain sustainable energy levels. She warns against the modern tendency to crack on non-stop and then attempt to recover only on weekends or holidays, advocating instead for consistent integration of rest and renewal. Using an ecological metaphor, Pippa compares burnout to a wildfire fueled by ignored warning signs and accumulated dry fuel. Without timely pause and honesty, micro-stress doses pile up like dead wood and tinder, setting the stage for complete psychological and physical breakdown. Changing behaviors around rest, presence, and honesty is akin to removing this dry fuel to prevent destructive fires. A common barrier to adopting regenerative practices is the misconception that they require large blocks of time or luxurious conditions. Pippa counters this by emphasizing that renewal needs equal emphasis, not necessarily equal duration, as performance and rest. Small, simple acts of kindness toward oneself can accumulate to significant shifts, making such changes accessible even to busy parents or professionals. She encourages exploring how small nudges or micro-adjustments in daily rhythms can create meaningful restoration. Pippa expands the concept of honesty beyond telling lies to include withholding important information or masking true feelings. This partial dishonesty, she explains, creates energetic deadwood and alienation from oneself. She advocates for gentle but direct communication about one's true state, whether declining commitments due to lack of bandwidth or admitting fatigue, both to preserve authenticity and prevent unnecessary internal strain. Honesty practiced kindly often garners respect and clarity in relationships and reduces the cognitive load of maintaining facades. To foster greater honesty and presence, Pippa recommends regular reflection through journaling or contemplation, focused on questions about where we said yes but meant no, where we avoided honesty, and where we felt most real with others. This process is not about shame, but about increasing awareness, which she believes accounts for the majority of meaningful change. Cultivating this attention makes it progressively harder to ignore one's truth and easier to make aligned decisions. Pippa cautions against the common impulse to escape overwhelming situations through drastic life changes, such as quitting a job or relocating, before exploring how to make regenerative shifts within current circumstances. She argues that most people can create more balanced lives by employing new methods of rest, presence, and honesty, allowing for sustained well-being without wholesale upheaval. This approach recognizes the value many find in their existing roles while addressing exhaustion. Pippa outlines 4 pillars of moving from overperformance to sustainable regenerative performance. First is coming to presence. pausing and tuning in to bodily intelligence with compassion. Second is diversifying modes and speeds, intentionally balancing periods of focus, rest, deep work, and interaction rather than sustaining a single relentless pace. Third is reconnecting with natural rhythms and wild clocks, respecting cyclical changes in life stages, seasons, and energy levels instead of expecting uniform output. Fourth is embodied intelligence, listening holistically to mind, heart, and gut signals rather than privileging cognitive control alone. Together, these principles foster wholeness, resilience, and deeper engagement. Drawing on her work with elite athletes, including the England football team, Pippa discusses how the highest level performers embody regenerative principles by balancing ambition with recovery and connection. She shares a story of Kipchoge, the famed marathoner, who sees running not as an individual pursuit, but a collective, joyful challenge, embodying love for the sport beyond mere results. Pippa stresses that in professional sport, as in life, focusing solely on outcomes undermines broader purpose, fulfillment, and sustainable performance. Integrating meaning and community into high performance sustains energy and resilience over time. A central theme in the book, and this conversation, is the concept of coming home to oneself, an experience of shedding external expectations and reconnecting honestly and tenderly with one's present truth. This process involves opening the heart, cultivating vulnerability, and giving without expectation. Pippa highlights how an open-hearted approach transforms relationships and daily experience, and encourages people to slow their nervous systems into more gentle gears to allow this presence. Pippa shares a powerful example of creating spaces of generosity and mutual support, such as pay-it-forward yoga classes and community projects that embody the principles of openness and reciprocity. Such environments foster connection and replenish energy through shared kindness rather than competition or transactional exchanges. This reflects her broader vision that cultural transformation begins with individual shifts toward generosity and authenticity and ripples outward. Pippa encourages anyone feeling overwhelmed or near burnout to start with kindness toward themselves and to consider whether their situation calls for a way out or an internal shift. The key is slowing down enough to genuinely listen to body, mind, and environment, and to begin nurturing wholeness and connection. Small pauses, honest reflection, and gentle restoration form the foundation of reclaiming well-being and freedom from chronic overperformance.